Today we're going to talk about the setting up of an antique grandfather clock. I'm going to show you all the parts required and the process very simply. Over on the table we have some of the tools that you'll require. We have a drill, an electrical tester for any hidden wires behind where you're going to drill, screwdriver, a wooden batten the same thickness as your skirting board, screw to go into that, a little screw to go through the clock into the batten. We also have pre-drilled the wall, so in this case we have a raw plug on the wall, but I'm going to show you that in a second. A couple of little blocks to go under the front feet if required. This clock doesn't need any because it's got pads. I'm now going to show you all the different parts of the clock when you receive it. We have the hood and of course the trunk. We have the movement, which is fully unwound so the lines do not get tangled around the axles. We have a set of weights and the pendulum. Always be careful with the feather at the top of the pendulum. That needs to be really careful with that because it doesn't get broken. Once you've got the place of the clock where you want it in your room, it's good to put a piece of wood or something just to one side of it so we know when we move the clock away to mark the wall where it's going back. Right, so we've got the trunk set up. We now need to open the trunk door and go and get the movement. As you can see, the lines are completely unwound from the barrel. So when you wind this movement up, the lines will follow the grooves there in the barrel. We're now going to post the lines into the trunk. At this stage, it's always good to have someone helping you because obviously the movement isn't fixed now. And my colleague's going to come over with the pendulum and fix the pendulum on. At the end of this video, we'll show you easily where the pendulum goes and any changes to the beat of the clock that you might need to make. Right, so now the movement is secure because the pendulum's on. We'll just put the hood on quickly just to get the position of the movement right. If you need to bring the movement forward in the case, you hold the hood and lift the seat board and bring the movement into the mask. So now clearly the movement is forward in the mask and the hood is on. Right, now we need to mark the position by a screwdriver or a pencil or anything. You find an existing hole and you mark the wall. That's fine. Now close the trunk door. Move the clock to one side. There's the mark on the wall. We've drilled a hole just so one side of that mark on the wall and put a raw plug in. That's been already done for you. Right, now we need to screw the batten into the raw plug on the wall. As I said, this is the same thickness as your skirting board, as you can see down at the bottom. Right, a secure fix. We need to move the clock back. Exactly to the position where it was earlier. Now we can move this away. Right, we now need little screw, go through the hole which we've got in our clock. It's an existing hole. Here it is. Sometimes you need to drill a pilot hole in the wooden batten. In this case we're fine. It's going in. If the clock needs adjusting for straightness, you can put a block under one side or the other just to get the clock perfectly straight. And now it's fixed really well. Now let's just straighten the lines out. These can get tangled pretty easily. Right, so the line goes round the outside edge of the pulley, and now the weight hook's on. And holding the lines, ease the weight down into the base. The lines will be set exactly so that they don't just quite touch the floor. Again, with the going side generally is the right hand side, the striking side the left hand side. There we go. Hooked and eased down into the case. Clearly, having the packing on the wall, same size as your skirting, the pendulum, when it's forward, movement forward in the mask, is now clear of the backboard. Now we open the hood door and the trunk door, and we can wind the clock up. This particular clock goes for 8 days. And you can see the weights come off. You need to wind this one once a week, the left hand side and the right hand side. Now, clock's wound, we can set the time. So it happens it's 11:45, set to silent at the top, so we can now set it back to its strike and swing the pendulum slightly to hear what the beat is like. This clock is nearly in beat, but what we do to set the clock in beat, if it isn't, it's a piece of paper with the centre line of the pendulum. Perfectly on the centre line. Swing the pendulum now, mark off the 2 ticks. There's a tick and a tock. That's pretty even on the clock. If, for instance, the clock was ticking here and tocking here, we'll show you at the end of this video how to adjust that. But we need the distance, the tick here to the tock here to be equidistant. In regulating the clock, you can grab the pendulum, hold the bob up. If you turn the nut clockwise, the pendulum will get shorter and the clock will gain time. And vice versa, a longer pendulum, the clock would lose time. If you need to adjust the calendar, this is done from the back of the clock. Take the hood off. Always hold a bit of the top moulding, not just the columns, and put it face to the wall so you don't kick the glass. There's a wheel just behind the dial. This can move the calendar. It doesn't want to move, it's because it's been trying to be moved itself. So just wait a couple of hours and try again. Generally around midday or midnight, the calendar starts to try to be moved. Always try and turn, if the clock's fast by a few minutes or slow by a few minutes, try and adjust it around the bottom section or not anywhere near any striking part of the clock. You do not want to, the clock's coming up to strike, we don't want to turn the hands backwards as soon as the clock comes up to strike, only forward. That's about it. We just need to see now at the back of a movement exactly where the pendulum goes and how to set it in beat. Right, now we can see the back of a clock movement, we can see exactly where the pendulum goes. So we need to raise the pendulum through the slot here and rest it on the top of the back clock, which is here. This clock is out of beat. If you can listen carefully, it's going tick, tock, tick, tock. You need to adjust this beat, and the way you do this is you need to go to away from the sound of the long tock. So you need finger, top and bottom, and push away from that long top. Close, just a little bit more. Now the clock is perfectly in beat. Tick on the top are even. And now the clock is perfectly set up and very happy to go.